Hey and welcome, this is DCS, this is the Apache. It's just a gameplay video, but I'll explain what I'm doing. Just the first two things I'm going to do is click these two. So door cockpit, open close, and then IHADSS show. So we'll go do that. F1 to jump in the cockpit, IHADSS show, and door open and close. So then these other buttons, you can just click, but I have actually set it to something on my joystick. And what I'm clicking is the master ignition switch battery, the APU push button cover open close, and then the APU push button start stop. So battery, cover, APU. One other thing that you can do now, if you want to move along a little bit quicker, is you can do power lever right idle, and you can do power lever left idle. And one other thing you can also do is just make sure you know what you've got set up to power levers both. So you can either have power levers both all the way back, or you can put it halfway if you've got it to a switch that you can move around, like on your throttle, a spare one. Otherwise you're having it all the way back right now. But for me, I put the power lever just to the middle. So we'll show you that. So putting the power lever to the middle, once we've got this APU going. Some other things we can do while we're waiting. I'm just going to turn up this one, and this one. Also that one. Left click here for red, right click here for bright. Up here, just right click once for on, right click once for arm. And here, just put the mouse above it, and use the mouse wheel to scroll down, and you can center it. Okay, so we're going to put it into idle. So we're going to do the left idle and the right idle, and then using that power lever to put it to the middle, 50%. And then you can see underneath here we've got engine start buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click those two engine start buttons. So I just bring ourselves back to search, and I'm pushing this number 1 engine start switch and number 2 engine start switch. Now you cannot click those buttons if this has not come up yet. Once this has come up, you're all good. And once you click it, you'll notice it will go white and it'll say on. So on and on. It's just for those two engines. And then we're just waiting. Now one thing, if you want to stop any sounds coming at you, if you're doing this all the time, you can turn this down to minimum. Just a trick. One other thing you can do while you're waiting, do you see over here you got FCR, because I do have the FCR on board. So you can go into here where it's got FCR, click on FCR here, don't click the button next to it, click on FCR. Up the top right it says util, so click on util. And then down here it has MMA pinned. I've clicked that once, change it to norm, and then FCR bit override, click the button next to that. And now that's all set up. You can change the scheme if you want by clicking here, A, B, C. C is if you've got moving targets, it'll prioritize them first. We'll leave it on A. And then click on util, and then we're back to here. So that's all set up while we're on the ground. So now we're going to use that axis for the power lever, these power levers, right and left, and we're going to push them to full. So go to full. Keep your collective all the way back though, otherwise you'll be taken off. And then you can see we've got, it should look like that basically, 101, 1818, 564 roughly, something like that. And then basically we need to turn the APU off, so you can either just left mouse click it, left click it, otherwise again we're just clicking the same buttons for me. So APU push button start stop and APU push button close, yeah. And it should sound a little bit quieter in the cockpit. And that's it, we can basically fly. So right control and enter brings up the controls, and then all we need to do is fly it. So all I'm doing is back on the joystick a little bit and left, and then on the rudder pedals I'm just giving it a tiny little bit of left rudder pedal. Now as I bring up the collective, I've got to work out where I need to give the joystick forward a little bit to start pointing the nose forward, because I've got to back too much, you'll have to gauge that very quickly. But basically, you're just going to release the joystick and push it forward a little bit. And you're going to have to do left or right rudder, depending on how the plane starts moving or how the helicopter starts reacting. So pretty much just back and left slightly, bringing up that collective, The real trick is just don't rush bringing up that collective. Yeah, just move it ever so micro, because then you can start gauging what happens. This helicopter's got a lot of power, so it'll move very, very quickly if you move up that collective quickly. So yeah, but you can see my controls in the top left slightly. So I'm at the point now where it's going to be almost about to move. I can't see any left or right movement yet, so I've got not much indication, but I'm releasing it just slightly. So it's rocking left, so I'm going right with the joystick to just counteract that, and now we're off. So it's just slightly moving left. And I don't like hovering this slowly, but you can see we're hovering around here. So I'm going to just give it a little bit more collective now. And we're moving. Yeah, and we're just hovering around very, very slowly here. I don't also want to be flying in the external view, so we're just going to give it a little bit more left rudder, a bit more collective, and then we can get a little bit of speed happening, and then we can get some altitude, and we're away. So over here I'm just going to click on the TSD, I'm clicking on map, and I'm clicking up here. I don't know if I can zoom it in for you, run fly, but I'm just clicking next to here, TSD, map on the bottom, next to chart, I've got a button, and clicking on satellite. That's all I'm doing. So I can see my waypoints there, and I'm just going to head towards them. Gained a lot of altitude just then. Now we do have an SA-3 ahead of us, so we just have to be a little bit careful. And we're early morning. But that's all there is to the cold and dark start. Enough to be able to take off and fire your missiles in a few moments. We're going to do the FCR in this flight, so I'll explain what we're doing. We've got the right rockets, the L variant of the Hellfire. The L variant, not the K. And we'll just zoom out our map. So we're heading over towards here basically, and then over to here. We'll do a little sweeping external view. There goes our helicopter. So it can get quite a little bit of speed, this helicopter. So we're going to begin pulling back. Now you can see there's a TV antenna in the distance. That was just to help me identify where I wanted to sit. So we're going to pull over to the right here a little bit. And then aim our nose at that TV tower, because that's where the enemies are. And then that looks good. So we're about where we need to be. So I'm going to push number 2 on the keyboard. 2. Cool. So now left control and V on the keyboard to bring up the flight controls. And I'm on the ground speed of 0. If you're not, you need to still slow it down. Push S on the keyboard, and you can bring the speed down. If you need to speed up, you can push W, but that's all I need to do. I want to get rid of the IHADSS, so I'm just pushing this IHADSS show, and it's gone. And then left control and V to get rid of the autopilot. Cool. So some other things, just for me, I've got this set up. So cockpit move left, camera move left, and cockpit camera move right. I've got buttons set to that so that I can move left and right and can see around this. That's all. So other things, we're going to go down to here. I'm going to put the FCR on the screen, so clicking FCR. And the next steps are this. I'm going to click on this. Site select switch left. FCR left, Site Select Switch FCR left. I'm going to click that. Then I'm also going to click this LHG Weapons Action Was Switch for Missile. So I'm going to click that. And then some other things I'm going to click are this, the cursor enter depress button. Then I'm going to move the cursor around with cursor controller up, down, left and right. So I'm moving it around. And then I'll also need to use this button eventually. The RHG display zoom button. Now before we can do any of that, we're also going to have to click this. The FCR scan switch, C continuous center, and FCR scan switch single. So there's continuous and then there's single. You can use single most likely. So we're over here, we've got our controls, helicopter's hovering, perfect. So site select switch left. And then we're going to click on the weapon button to bring up our missiles. And then we're going to do a scan. So I'm going to be clicking this button. The FCR scan switch. Cool. I'm going to do a single scan. So there goes the scan. And it's found all the targets that we need. Great, so we just got all that out of a single scan. So now we're clicking the cursor depress button. Gets me control of the cursor and then moving the cursor around. So here's the cursor. I'm going to put the cursor above that area where the enemies are. And then I'm clicking that zoom switch. So this zoom switch doesn't work unless you move that cursor above them. But now I'm clicking the RHG display zoom button. So let's click that. And it zooms in and we've got all our targets there and we can start firing at them. Now we've got a whole heap of missiles on board here. We're going to fire them off and we're just going to watch them. After I fire each time, I can hit the F6 button and we can just follow the missile, and then I jump back to the plane and helicopter, and then we go from there. So we'll give it a go. Now one thing we haven't done yet is up here we've got armament. We've got to put it to arm. So you've got arm. And then I'm going to move my screen just right a little bit because I want to have a look at weapons. So I'm going to click on WPN and we can see it's white and it's flashing. You can also tell it's the one we need because it's got the little V on it. It hasn't got two lines, it's a V, so this is the one we needed. It also says type RF, which is also the one we needed, DL version. So that's everything we need to know. Just going to move my screen back over to here. And now over here, if you wanted to select different targets, you could just move the cursor above it and then hit cursor depress on whatever target it is you want to do next. Or you can click up here next to NTS and click the button next to that. And it will keep moving between the targets if you keep clicking this NTS. So that's some other things you can do. But we're just going to start firing. So to fire the weapon, all you're doing is this. LHG weapons trigger switch, first detent. You don't need to use the second detent, just the first detent. LHG weapons trigger switch, first detent. So click that. Off goes the missile, F6. We watch it go in. Now the only thing I find, see how we got two targets and one then? And it's not really keeping a record of that. It's just recognizing we hit one of them. But we'll fire again. And we'll let it go through and try and target all of these. This is an SA-3 target area, but we had one extra tank, and that was the extra tank then that it targeted. So you can choose which one you want to target, but it's doing that selection for me at the moment. So you've got two of them and the one. Let's fire. So the one which is that square, that's the next target, and the one with the triangle, that's the one after that. The second coming up. So got that. We'll fire again. This is probably going to be the same area, this one. Yeah, see how it's the same area? But it does get that little truck next to it, so that's okay. And that's the third one, which is super making sure that they're all dead. If we finish this, we'll do a little flight just over it, just to see what's left and what it looks like. So we've got those missiles left. So you can see this can carry quite a lot. And you don't have to worry about holding down a laser or anything with this method. Perfect. Let's fire again. A little bit wobbly. We got that. Fire again. FCR radar. So we got this one. Fire again. We'll do a little flight above it once we finish. And inspect whatever damage we can. Got it. At least from up here, it doesn't look like there's many left. Done pretty good. And we fire again. And that didn't seem to target very much just then. We've got a few left, 3 left. Let's fire. What could happen is you might need to rescan. So we're going to rescan it. So now it's rescanned. And then we'll fire. And it's not finding very much to hit. So we just got one at the very back there. We'll see if it hits it this time. And then we've got one left. That's that one gone. And so I think that's it. So we'll jump into our number 2 button. So just pushing 2. Sorry, 1, because we want to jump back to 1. And then we can start flying. So just going to push the joystick forward, and not much else. Helicopter will start moving. And we'll start building up some speed. We'll have a little look and see what fires at us. So this was an SA-3 setup. I believe they can't fire at you if you're too close, and so that was why it's not shooting at us from that distance. But the little APCs and the tank and stuff could shoot at us, and for them we're out of range. There's all the burning vehicles. We'll do an external view. And then we'll fly it back. So that was pretty successful, and that's all you really need to do. So basically, now we can just turn the armament switch to off, put it to safe, and you just have to fly back. So we're not doing anything too complicated. Just collective and moving the joystick. You can use F10 if you want to jump to the view. I didn't set a waypoint for home base, but that could have been useful. If you're setting up your own mission, you may find that helpful. And I do believe this is the first time I put the Afghanistan map on my channel. I've only got the Afghanistan map after the Cold War map, so I certainly haven't got it long ago. But it has lots of hills, and it looks like it's quite useful for using with a helicopter, so I'm quite excited about that. Unlike the Cold War map, which is excellent, but probably more suited to activities that don't really need a lot of terrain. But yeah, it's still quite good. What an awesome little module this Apache is. That's the FCR. We'll bring it back, land, and then try and shut it down. We'll see how we go with that. I'm coming in a little bit left, so we need to slow ourselves down very soon. So we're just bringing the collective back and then pulling the joystick back. Just to slow it down. Have a look at that view again. We're very close. To keep bringing that collective back. Right rudder. So I want to move the nose around. And then I'm actually giving it more collective now as we slow down. And now I'm just feeding it collective. And you'll find you actually have to give it quite a lot of collective as you come to a slower stop. So there we go. And we'll just go along here. Back to where we took off. Handle's quite good, but this has a lot of power. So you can very quickly burst up or whatever. There we are, we're almost back. Just very slowly coming along now. I'm just going to park it up here to the right where we took off from. I won't bother turning it around necessarily, but we'll just put it over here. Looking pretty good. Keep going forward. And then we'll just let it go on the ground. There we go. We're close to where we were. Now, I know if you get rid of the parking brake, you can then just push forward on the joystick. And you can start to move it around on the ground. And we can put the parking brake back on, and there you go. How good's that? So now we want to shut it down as quickly as we can. So we could go up here, I can turn this off and off, save that. That's back on safe, so that's all good. We can turn up our warnings just so we can hear them now. And we're going over to here, so I'm just going to do this. I'm doing power lever right off. I'm doing power lever right off, yep. And power lever left off. So that's basically what's about to happen. So first I'm going to bring this power lever to halfway and then to off, all the way back. and then right, and then left. So those two are off. Then I'm going to go up to here for the battery. I'm going to left click that till it's on off. And then we just need to open the cockpit door. So door, cockpit, open, close. Click that. And we've got one missile. So we managed to do that with still one missile left. And cockpit doors open, and we're back safely on the ground. So yes, that's the FCR. They're way slower than most people, but hopefully if you have a look in the description of the video, I'll also put all of the controls that I used. And without question, you should find it pretty easy to do FCR shooting with this. If you missed any controls that was pushed, well, hopefully I've covered it. And yeah, if you can do this, you can pretty much do most of the shooting that you need to do in this helicopter. Awesome little helicopter, the Apache and DCS. Thank you for watching.